As a business owner, it feels like recording content takes way too much of your time. You can't actually do the thing that you're good at if you're sitting here recording content, but you know recording content is going to bring you more leads. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how in just 1 hour's time, we can get up to 30 pieces of content. And we're actually going to do it. So like this video, we're showing you how it's actually done. So stick around and we will show you exactly what it looks like.
Half of the time when you get on social media, you see a business or a business owner that started posting content and then you stop seeing it. Why do you think that happens?
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons. The first reason is not the one we're going to talk about. I think it's more of like they didn't see results quickly, you know, just being impatient. I generally think I'm a pretty impatient person as well. So I understand where, you know, if you don't immediately see results, you're going to stop doing something pretty quickly. But if you understand that this is a long game, it's kind of like the stock market. You know, we're sitting here and the stock market's going up and down because of the tariffs and this and that, and people are freaking out because of the market. And it's like, why? If you look at this over 100-year span, the market's gonna go up. So there's no reason to freak out. It's gonna go back up. Like just relax and let it do its thing. And that's kind of how I feel like with content. You know, if I'm putting all my money into a stock market and I have to get it back out in 3 months, 5 months, a year, I'm probably not doing the stock market the way I would personally do it. Yeah. I'm doing this as a long-term investment. So if I don't see the immediate results in 3 months, 6 months, a year, it's fine because I'm doing this for a longer standing time. So that's the first thing, is they're just impatient to get results. The second one is what we're going to focus on today. And it's, I don't have enough time. I hear this all the time. We work with a lot of service-based professional businesses, you know, lawyers, doctors, surgeons, chiropractors, mortgage lenders, people in that service-based business that needs like a secondary education. And they are the experts. They are the people that people go see to get their knowledge. And so they're in the weeds doing the thing. They don't feel like they have time to do the content. So maybe they do it once or twice because they saw a cool video they wanted to replicate or try. They didn't get the results and then they stopped because they ran out of time.
So what do you suggest to those people that feel like they have no time to create content?
Yeah, I suggest doing exactly what you and I are doing. We're going to sit down and we're going to record one long form video. We're not going to do it as long as I would suggest, but if we're trying to get short form clips or short form videos, it's way easier to sit down and have a conversation for 1 hour about your topic and then cut all of those clips out than trying to come up with 15 or 10 or however many clips you're trying to get, trying to come up with 10 or 15 different topics. It's way easier to have this conversation for an hour to say, okay, well, within an hour, we're probably going to be able to get 10 to 12 really good clips if we do it right. It's called clip farming. You know, there's some people that look like they're on a podcast and they actually are never on a podcast. They're just faking it to show that there's something there, and they're really just recording clips. And we're not technically doing it here, but it would look exactly like this, which is why we're doing it in this format for you to see like, hey, this is what it would look like. And from this video that we're creating, if we did it for an hour, we'd be able to come up with 10 really good 30 to 60 second short form videos. However, you got to have basically a formula or a strategy or something to do. So in this case, the way we're treating this, I am the quote unquote expert. I am the one that's giving the information.
Business owner.
And what's your job in this then?
Hosting and prompting and tossing you lobs to answer.
That's it. So Nick is technically the host, even though you would think like I'm the host, but no, he's the host, because when you think of like an interview, what does the host do? The host prompts questions to get a response.
Yeah.
And that's what your job is. So Nick's actually, he's going to have a conversation with me, but in his mind, he's thinking, what is the next question I need to ask to get the result for a short form video? So we go into this knowing there's 3, 4, 5 different prompts that he wants me to say, or he wants me to answer, so that we can get the clips that's needed. So he's got a hard job, even though he may not say as much, but his job is to prompt me to get the results. And if he doesn't like the answer, he might ask it in a different way, or, probe me in a different manner. But his job is to get me to say the things that he knows that I should be saying.
So clip farming, sitting down, really raw conversation. And then you want somebody who can ask you good questions and you want to be able to answer them. Can we talk about what that would look like for like some business?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that you got to go into it is the host needs to have an outline. You got to have a plan. So you've got to have your topics, your 3 or 4 or 5 or however many things you want to make sure you touch on. So, if we use this marketing company, for example, if we're using this video, for example, people watching are probably business owners trying to figure out how to use social media. So we may go into this saying, we want to talk about clip farming. We want to talk about how to prompt people. And we want to talk about the formulas or formats or things that you need to make sure you say. So like we go in knowing that those are the 3 things that we need to touch on. And you always make sure I'm getting those touched on. So a couple other things that, we make sure that we get are calls to action. So we want to, Nick would ask me like, well, what are some things people could do to work with you? Or what's the next step for XYZ? And we would have that conversation so we can cut that to add as a call to action on the end of videos. Or on the opposite side, he would ask me for like, maybe my opinions or a bold statement around XYZ, because those are going to be the hooks and the intros for these videos. So do you have any thoughts or examples you could ask me for like I guess an intro for a short form video if we were making it from this?
What's the biggest myth business owners believe about content?
Yeah. So the biggest myth business owners believe about content is that it takes a ton of time. There we go. Clip. Like there's the intro to the video, and then some point within this conversation, we probably have like the meat that we talk about, which is, really what this video is. It's kind of, this is like a meta video. It's like we're doing the thing that we're telling you to do and showing you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what he would do. And we'd have a conversation. So when I answer it that way, you would probably say, oh, can you explain? Like, yeah. People think that it takes a ton of time to record social media. However, in just 1 hour, we actually work with clients all the time, and they get 12 to 15 pieces of content, video content, in just an hour of them sitting down and recording. And that's not mentioning the 12 to 15 graphic clips that we also get from the same piece of content. So in just 1 hour of the business owner's time, they can get 30-ish pieces of content for the month. How awesome is that to be able to sit down for 1 hour, get 30 pieces of content, have something posted for you every single day? And then you might ask me, well, what would they do next?
Yeah. Do you know anybody that can help them with that?
Yeah. So that's exactly what we do at Weber Marketing. We help business owners sit down, take the least amount of time to record their content and get the most amount of content out of it. We just recorded a short, but it was a conversation. We're probably going to cut Nick out. We might leave it in if it sounded good and it flowed well, but my responses, I gave the beginning hook, I gave the middle answer to the hook, and then I gave a call to action at the end. Yeah. And this is something that you can do over and over and over, and it's really easy, and it's true. Like it's very true. We do this with some people that don't have a lot of time. Think of like an orthopedic surgeon where they're going in and out of surgeries, and they might give us like, I've got 30 minutes. Well, I've got to get a whole month's worth of content from you in 30 minutes. What are we going to do? I can sit down and have this conversation with them and just click record. And then it's up to you and I to have our outline and our goals to make sure we know what we're asking. And then when we go back in the edit, it's easy for us to basically pull that.
Yeah. So like this video is like the topic is clip farming, or how to create content when you have no time.
Right.
And I may have like 6 or 7 questions that are all right around that, and just keep asking, and maybe that's 6 or 7 or more short.
Yeah. And like, it's nice because he might ask me a different call to action, but we can plug and play different spots because it all looks the same. So it's not like I'm having a different shirt or a different outline or a different wardrobe or the lighting's changed or whatever. It's all in the same spot. So if he used something from 25 minutes into our conversation as a hook, it could be the answer to 2 minutes in. And we kind of, piece them together. If you think of like the 3 parts of that video, we can kind of play with them however we want to make sure we get enough clips.
Quick exercise.
Okay.
Small surprise exercise.
Okay, yeah.
I like to do these every time because it's like these fake situations. It's really realistic.
Yeah.
So I'll like name a business and
Okay.
be like, well, they should sit down and talk about this topic, and then give me a couple questions the host might ask.
Okay. Yeah. Let's try it. Let's see what we can come up with.
Oh,
What business do you want? Let's do one of our like people we generally work with. So like some sort of professional service.
do a lawyer.
Lawyers are easy for me. I love them.
Yeah.
What
So-
kind of lawyer?
Criminal.
Criminal defense.
Criminal defense.
All right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So they need to sit down for 30 minutes or 1 hour on camera. What's a topic they should be around, and some questions the host could ask them.
I mean, before we go into this, we would have done our research to say like, yeah, this is off the top of our head. I actually don't know anything about criminal defense.
Yeah.
So we would do our research to say like, oh, here's kind of like the things people are wondering.
Yeah.
But if I were going into this blind like I am, I would be like, okay, top questions your clients are asking you, stories that you're allowed to tell. Those are kind of ones that I would immediately think of. And I would probably say like biggest mistakes people do in criminal activities or
So,
when trying to.
the host might ask something like,
Yeah. So if I was hosting and Nick was the lawyer on this one, I would say, hey, so tell me about a story of one of the clients where they may have gotten in a bad situation and you kind of help them through that situation.
and I say, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Here's the story.
And then, yeah, we don't know that one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what was the most eye-opening thing about that situation?
Yep.
And then that's probably my hook, because I like to get the story first before I go back to the hook.
Yeah.
So I'll get the hook after that by asking them a follow-up question, because that's going to give me that initial statement. And then I'll say, what was the first, maybe I'd ask, what was the turning point that happened in their life to make them actually call you?
Yeah. I say, here, this happened.
Yeah.
And you just keep prying.
Yes. And then I'd say, well, after they called you, what was the next thing that they did? What was the outcome? And so like that would give me that, and we'd have multiple clips from that. And then we'd go back and we'd think of the next prompt. Like, okay, top questions you ask. Like, what is a question that you wish every single client asked you in your initial consultation?
Here's the answer.
Yeah. And then I would say, can you tell me a question that people ask that's wrong, and make sure you restate that in a full sentence?
Yeah. The whole idea here being that there's somebody who's the expert. So you're an expert in your field. You in this video, for example, there's this box of information. You just keep digging out of it.
Yeah. I think that's what makes a good host, and like why is like Diane Sawyer such a good, like well-respected host. It's because she understands like how to pry. It's like an onion. You know, you take your onion and you peel layers back each and every time. So every time I ask a new question, I'm peeling another layer back, and I'm getting more details that I can then clip together to make this full story.
Yeah.
I think it's really underutilized, this tactic, this skill, and it gets you a lot of content in a short amount of time. There's levels, or there's types of content you should be making to fill out your funnel. And I think if you plan this accordingly, you can actually fill out your funnel by sitting down for an hour with these people, or you as a business owner, you can sit down for an hour, have a conversation. But I think it really depends on your host to make sure they prompt you the right way.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the expert in recording the perfect video script, but you need to be the expert in your field and let the host prompt you to fill that. It's like Mad Libs, you know, they're filling in each section by asking you the questions.
Yeah. Not necessarily a exact thing, but I think one thing that's been helpful for us when we do this is that I, like career-wise, I am like a past version of you. So you're someone that outside of this, I'm already asking these questions too. Same thing, maybe if you're a lawyer, maybe you have a paralegal who's asking you questions about the law, or an aspiring law student or someone. But
yeah, that's curious. If you don't have like your marketing team or marketing department, for sure. Like it makes it really easy when you're genuinely curious about the answer, because you get better questions and you get better answers. But if you don't have that, like your marketing person should be able to lead you in this direction. But I love the idea of like, let's use a lawyer, for example. If I'm a managing attorney and I've been here for 20 years doing the same thing, and you're a first year attorney, you're going to actually be interested in my answers. And that's probably the answers and questions that your clients want to know and want answered.
Yeah. and the content ends up being way more authentic,
Yes.
because it is authentic, than yelling at the camera.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think, as far as a strategy, this is probably one of the most underutilized strategy for those that are sitting here thinking like, I don't have enough time to record content. Like you do. You've got 30 minutes, you got 60 minutes where you can sit down once a month and it's all done for you. The next part is trying to make sure you find somebody that actually knows what they're doing. And, like I said earlier, we've got the funnel of, the types of content you need to be built. We've already made a video on that. So if you want to watch all the types of content and how to structure social media to make sure you have a nice funnel full of content, it's in this video.